Burnley triumph in East Lancashire Derby. One chance, one goal, one giant step. In a fixture historically brimming with animosity and tension, Burnley once again had the final word in a 1-0 victory over bitter rivals Blackburn Rovers. Before the match, the sense of expectancy in a packed Ewood Park was palpable. Even though both clubs are gunning for promotion this season, fans of these neighbors always prioritize local bragging rights. And they witnessed a typically attritional derby, decided by a single flash of brilliance from Dutch forward Zian Fleming. For the first hour, the match offered little in the way of genuine excitement. Stray passes and robust tackles were more common than shots on target. Still, Burnley's methodical approach shone through, marked by resolute defending and readiness to pounce on any lapse. That moment arrived when Bashir Humphreys floated a pinpoint cross toward Fleming, who expertly guided a diving header beyond the Blackburn goalkeeper. The away end erupted, celebrating a lead that felt insurmountable given Burnley's airtight backline. Indeed, manager Scott Parker has built a defensive juggernaut, yielding just 9 goals in 26 matches and keeping a remarkable 17 clean sheets. This carefully honed style, reliant on seizing the slightest opportunity, has led to 8 one-goal wins this campaign. It might not always be pretty, but it's proven ruthlessly effective. Parker acknowledged how vital local pride was, confessing he had mulled over the derby's significance for 48 hours straight. "All we needed was one moment," he beamed post-match. Blackburn, absent a derby win since 2010, had pinned hopes on Mokhtar Gueye filling in for injured talisman Yuki Ohashi. Instead, the Senegalese striker struggled to trouble Burnley's imposing centre-halves, CJ Egan-Riley and Maxime Esteve. The lack of creativity in the final third doomed Rovers to a 5th match without victory, watching their playoff position slip further from reach. At the final whistle, 4,000 travelling Clarets supporters roared their delight. Burnley now stand 13 games unbeaten, solidifying their claim as one of the Championship's most resilient outfits. If they continue in this vein, a return to the Premier League seems increasingly inevitable. Meanwhile, Blackburn are left to reflect on another derby heartbreak and must find answers fast if they are to salvage their season. Chelsea's self-fulfilling prophecy. Maresca's doubts become Blues' reality. Once hyped as title contenders, Chelsea now languish in a spiral of carelessness at both ends of the pitch. Their 1-1 draw with the spirited Crystal Palace only reinforced manager Enzo Maresca's own cautionary words. This team simply isn't ready for major honors. Yet the real danger is that his repeated emphasis on lowered expectations is seeping into the squad's psyche, dulling their killer instinct and eroding belief. Everything looked rosy in the first half, as Chelsea took the lead through Cole Palmer, capitalizing on a brilliant assist by Jadon Sancho. Nicholas Jackson then squandered a flurry of gilt-edged opportunities, missing what could have been a decisive hat-trick by half-time. When Palace regrouped after the break, the Blues failed to respond with the ruthless swagger big teams display. Ebereki Eze glided through midfield, Maxence Lacroix tested the defense, and eventually Jean-Philippe Mateta equalized late, punishing Chelsea's lapses in concentration. To observers, the transformation is startling. The energy that fueled Chelsea's early season hype appears drained, mirrored in their 4-match winless run, while Maresca remains calm, insisting it's not about the table and praising the performance. Fans worry the team lacks the conviction to push for trophies. Questions swirl about his in-game management. He made his first substitution only at the 81st minute, leaving Christopher Nkunku and João Felix idle on the bench. Admittedly, Maresca's faith in youth shone when he handed 18-year-old defender Josh Achimpong his first league start. Achimpong impressed, but also benefited from Palace's subdued first-half display. The visitors were too passive, conceded their manager, Oliver Glasner, allowing Chelsea to dominate possession before the momentum shifted. If blame hovers over certain tactical choices, it also resides in a deeper psychological realm. Whether by design or accident, Maresca's repeated messaging, "We are not ready," risks planting seeds of complacency. The result is a team that can breeze through stretches of a match yet unravel under even mild pressure. Unless they rediscover a sense of urgency and biting edge, the prophecy of underachievement could become a lasting reality. Winter window frenzy. Top clubs on edge as spending storm looms. When January arrives, chaos usually ensues in European football, and this season is no exception. A mix of financial fair play regulations, injury crises, and uncertain contract renewals have primed the continent's elite clubs for frantic mid-season business. In England, the spotlight falls on Liverpool, who are flying high yet remain vulnerable as Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk, and Trent Alexander-Arnold become eligible to discuss pre-contract deals elsewhere. Could an eye-watering offer lure one of them away from Anfield? Arsenal, clinging to title aspirations, debate whether they should bolster their attack. Meanwhile, Manchester City, anxious to maintain momentum after Rodri's absence derailed their midfield, could launch a targeted signing. At Manchester United, new coach Ruben Amorim may need to offload players before reshaping his dysfunctional squad. Rumors abound that Ange Postecoglou at Tottenham demands fresh faces to lift the team's underwhelming season so far. The drama extends across borders. In Spain, Barcelona wrestle with registering Dani Olmo permanently, an operation so complex it could reverberate across Europe's market, especially if the Catalans need to offload big names. Real Madrid and Atletico both sense a potential opportunity to tip the title race in their favor if they add the right talent. Over in Germany, Bayer Leverkusen secured rising star Alejo Sarko, while Bayern Munich, led by Vincent Kompany, debate whether to double down or trust their existing roster to outlast Borussia Dortmund in the Bundesliga race. Over in Italy, Inter, Napoli, and Atlanta are neck and neck in a thrilling title scramble. One timely acquisition could separate champion from also-ran. In France, Monaco and Marseille aim to close the gap on perennial winners Paris Saint-Germain, fueling rumors of big-money arrivals. And lurking beyond Europe is the Saudi Pro League, flush with cash and eager to tempt household names. With so many clubs on a knife edge, the upcoming transfer window promises drama at every turn. Record-breaking fees, last-gasp loans, and shock moves may redefine power dynamics. Each press conference, each tweet from an insider, could spark new speculation. As the countdown begins, fans brace themselves for a hurricane of announcements, hoping that their club strikes gold, rather than falling prey to panic buys that fail to deliver. Fulham stumble again. Jimenez double salvages a point, but where's the killer instinct? Fulham's showdown with newly promoted Ipswich ended in a nail-biting 2-2 draw, with 2 penalty goals from Raul Jimenez rescuing the London side from a potentially embarrassing defeat. Despite an astonishing 75% possession, Fulham failed to carve open enough clear chances, leaving fans frustrated at what might have been a straightforward victory. For a team that has lost only once in their last 12 matches, the biggest frustration lies in repeated struggles against supposedly weaker sides. The match's early minutes suggested Fulham would dominate. Common possession, they pushed Ipswich's defense backward, with Jimenez drawing a vital save from Christian Walton. Yet the first significant twist arrived when Ipswich capitalized on a loose ball, taking a surprise lead that quieted the home crowd. This echoed Fulham's earlier draw with Southampton, when they similarly dominated but lacked a ruthless edge to finish off the game. Although Jimenez managed to level from the spot just before added time, it was a performance that left manager Marco Silva lamenting missed opportunities. He criticized the referee for refusing to send off Ipswich's Leif Davis for a heavy challenge, yet also admitted that refereeing decisions were not the true cause of Fulham's dropped points. The real culprit was Fulham's inability to make possession count, a recurring theme that continues to stifle their ambition to push into the league's higher reaches. Ipswich, for their part, deserve credit. They arrived at Craven Cottage without fear, defending compactly and venturing forward with menace whenever Fulham looked complacent. Jack Clarke's near miss just before Jimenez's second penalty epitomized Ipswich's spirit. When they pressed in numbers, they showcased an admirable resilience, suggesting that survival, and perhaps more, is within reach. Back among Fulham supporters, there's a growing sense of what might have been. Had the team been more clinical, they could be in fairy tale territory, challenging the top clubs in the table. Instead, fans left the stadium feeling relief at rescuing a point yet dismayed at a pattern that refuses to go away. The question looming over Silva's side is simple. Can they learn to land the knockout blow, or will they forever endure anxious endings in matches they largely control? Could Manchester United really go down? Drifting giants face their darkest hour. For decades, Relegation was an unthinkable fate for an English powerhouse like Manchester United. Yet the once dominant force now finds itself flirting with disaster, enough for manager Ruben Amorim to mention the unmentionable: a relegation dogfight. On the face of it, the prospect still seems remote. Financial muscle, star players, and a massive global fan base appear to shield the club from truly hitting rock bottom. But the recurring nightmare of disjointed performances and chaotic leadership has allowed whispers of the unthinkable to grow louder. Since Sir Alex Ferguson's departure, the club's managed decline has become an unwanted case study. Some supporters argue that each managerial appointment has added layers of confusion to an increasingly haphazard squad. Wildly different approaches, ranging from Louis van Gaal's possession obsession to Jose Mourinho's defensive pragmatism, have left the current lineup painfully incoherent. Transfer spending soared to astronomical levels, but often landed on players who seemed ill-suited to the club's identity. Now, under Ruben Amorim, the vision is clear: a 3-4-3 system, carefully molded from his success at Sporting Lisbon. Yet the players at his disposal have proven stubbornly ill-fitted to this style. If he compromises, his authority might waver. If he remains dogmatic, the team's slide could worsen. Off the pitch, Old Trafford itself is showing signs of long-term neglect, from disintegrating infrastructure to unresolved ownership sagas. Critics say the club is turning into a living parody. The House of Usher meets football, complete with mice and a collapsing roof. The question is not whether Manchester United will truly sink into the bottom three. That remains unlikely. The real issue is how far the club can fall before it summons the collective resolve to reset. A once proud institution now sees dark clouds gathering overhead, overshadowing their grand traditions. Fans, wary of false dawns, wonder if the real threat is not relegation but the slow erosion of prestige. The margin for error has grown perilously thin. Love or hate them, Manchester United's struggles point to a brutal truth. No empire is too grand to avoid the fate of self-inflicted collapse, unless it acts, and acts swiftly, to save itself from the brink. Villa's narrow escape. Late strikes stun Leicester in freezing Midlands clash. A crisp chill hung in the air at Villa Park as snow flurries and near-Arctic gusts made conditions miserable for Aston Villa's home crowd. Huddled in coats and scarves, they witnessed a gritty 2-1 victory over Leicester City that might have gone the other way had the visitors avoided one fateful error. Ross Barkley opened the scoring for Villa, capitalizing on a misdirected header from Jan-Nick Vestergaard. But Ruud van Nistelrooy's reorganized Leicester responded with a counterattack culminating in Steffi Mavridai's equalizer. For a moment, Leicester looked poised to spoil the hosts' bid to extend their unbeaten run at Villa Park. Van Nistelrooy, once a lethal striker here in his Manchester United days, has imbued Leicester with greater discipline, acknowledging they are better drilled now but lacking the cutting edge to turn steady performances into points. Their shot count remains high, averaging around 19 per match, but that volume has yet to yield consistent results, leaving them stranded in the relegation zone. Leicester's newfound resilience cracked in the late stages. Jordan Ayew, ironically a former Villa player, lost possession to Ian Maatsen, who swiftly fed Leon Bailey for his first goal of the season. The Jamaican winger, subdued for much of the evening, pounced decisively when it mattered most. Van Nistelrooy lamented the tipping point. In the Premier League, you pay for mistakes without mercy. And so it proved. Unai Emery's side, though short on fireworks, ground out another 3 points, ensuring they remain a force at home despite an inconsistent away record. The mix of youthful promise and established veterans like Barkley has kept them afloat in 8th place, within striking distance of a coveted top 5 slot. Barkley himself praised Leicester's organization, conceding they've become much tougher to break down, while Emery acknowledged his team struggled for 90 minutes. As fans trudged out into the freezing streets, they carried mixed feelings. Relief at the result but awareness that Villa's margin for error was painfully slim. Leicester returned home rueing a single mistake that squandered an otherwise commendable performance. Yet Van Nistelrooy sees silver linings. Hard work eventually pays off, he insisted. For both clubs, the margin separating heartbreak and heroics remains razor-thin in a Premier League season defined by unforgiving pressures. Incredible hat trick foiled. Igamane's treble neutralized by Boucherie's late heroics. A pulsating afternoon in the Scottish Premiership saw Rangers and Hibernian battle to a 3-3 draw that left both sets of fans simultaneously breathless and exasperated. Hamza Igamane, the in-form Rangers striker who tormented Celtic just days earlier, delivered a show-stopping hat-trick. Yet it still wasn't enough to secure maximum points. Rocky Boucherie's towering header 7 minutes from time salvaged a point for Hibs, extending their unbeaten run to 6 matches under caretaker boss David Gray. Rangers drew first blood swiftly, with Igamane striking twice in the opening stages. His pace and finishing looked too much for a Hibs side rattled by the visitors' seamless interplay. At 2-0, it seemed like another dream scenario for manager Philippe Clement, who watched his men demolish Celtic in a 3-0 romp on Thursday. But Hibernian refused to fold, gradually rediscovering their swagger through Martin Boyle, who found the net twice to bring Easter Road roaring back to life. Igamane briefly restored Rangers' lead with a lethal shot in the second half, capitalizing on Nedim Badrami's inventive play. At that juncture, the floodgates appeared ready to open, with the Glasgow side threatening to run away again. But Hibs remained undeterred, pressing higher and winning corners with remarkable frequency. Eventually, it was Boucherie, already famous for a last-minute equalizer 2 months ago, who rose highest to nod home the corner that triggered wild celebrations among the home faithful. For Rangers, the dropped points amplify a growing concern. Celtic, who cruised past Street Mirren 3-0 elsewhere, now sit 13 points clear of their fiercest rivals. This stinging gap reignites doubts about Rangers' capacity to mount a serious title challenge. Clement lamented the lost control in the second half, attributing the team's disappointment to a lapse in concentration and a failure to convert promising attacks into decisive margins. In contrast, Hibs supporters are enjoying an upswing. David Gray's men showed true mettle under duress, coming back from a shaky start and matching Rangers in both physicality and creativity. While a single point might not drastically alter their league standing, the confidence coursing through the squad indicates they could be dark horses in the race for European qualification. If nothing else, the match exemplified why Scottish football can be so enthralling. Furious comebacks, unstoppable strikers, and improbable plot twists all bundled into 90 exhilarating minutes. Blizzard backs down. Liverpool versus Man United survives the chill and high-stakes clash. The northwest of England woke up to a thick blanket of snow, and anxiety spread among football fans bracing for potential match postponements. Yet, after a tense series of meetings, local authorities in Liverpool granted the green light. The iconic showdown between Liverpool and Manchester United would proceed as planned. The 4:30 p.m. kickoff at Anfield remained intact despite concerns over icy roads, transport disruptions, and swirling snow showers that had already forced other games across League Two and the Women's FA Cup to be abandoned. With the city's safety advisory group reconvening at noon, many supporters feared the worst, a late call-off, echoing the Merseyside derby recently postponed by storm conditions. Instead, a surprising calm overcame Anfield. The ground staff worked tirelessly to ensure the pitch was cleared and playable. Salt and grit trucks circulated around the stadium's perimeter, and volunteers guided fans through slushy walkways. Even though the amber alert for snow and ice remained in effect, organizers were determined to protect the biggest fixture of the weekend. The stakes could hardly be higher. Liverpool, riding a solid run of form, view this match as crucial to maintaining momentum in their title bid. Manchester United, on the other hand, are battling inconsistency yet still cling to the prospect of overtaking key rivals. This match has long transcended the boundaries of just another fixture. Its legacy as a bitter rivalry stretches back generations. Snow, wind, and freezing temperatures only add another layer of drama. In the broader sporting landscape, the day's harsh weather led to chaos in other competitions. Chepstow Racecourse had to abandon a meet after just 2 races, and Plumpton called off its event after a promising early inspection turned sour. Travel headaches forced postponements in parts of League Two, and even high-level women's matches faced cancellations. Yet through it all, Liverpool's statement stood firm. Take extra care on your way to Anfield. Supporters, wrapped in layers of scarves and beanies, answered the call, arriving to create a vibrant backdrop of red and white or swathes of traveling United fans. The radiant glow of stadium floodlights now beams through the remnants of the snowstorm, promising that once the whistle blows, the only thing that matters is the passionate duel unfolding on the pitch. Guardiola's comeback trail. Savinho sparked City's second straight win. Pep Guardiola's admission, "I blame me, not the players," rang out on Friday, and Manchester City delivered the perfect response. They recorded back-to-back league wins for the first time since late October, dispatching the opposition 4-1 in a dominant display brimming with attacking flair. The star of the afternoon was a teenager named Savinho, whose quick feet, electric pace, and incisive passing carved open the defense repeatedly. From the opening whistle, City looked intent on an up-tempo style, though Pep lamented they still need 1,000 passes to curb counterattacks. Savinho quickly justified his selection, setting up 2 goals and playing a key role in Vladimir Koufal's inadvertent own goal. He then assisted Erling Haaland's second, feeding the Norwegian with a delicious through ball. The lethal forward took care of the rest with a silky chip over an outstretched keeper. Kevin De Bruyne, deployed deeper to shore up midfield, criticized home fans for their nervous murmurs whenever City lost possession. "We're winning 4-1, the Belgian playmaker snapped, "so support us." That frustration underscores the tension swirling around the Etihad after a stuttering start to the campaign. But for all the fretting, Guardiola's side looked at ease for long stretches, orchestrating wave after wave of fluid interplay. Credit should also go to the away team's spirit. They created chances, forced City's defense into awkward moments, and netted a consolation when Niklas Füllkrug pounced in the 71st minute. Guardiola fumed on the sidelines, likely frustrated by the persistent defensive lapses he has lamented. Even so, the margin of victory proved sufficient, and the manager singled out Savinho's energy for special praise. "He pressed everywhere," Guardiola said. "That's the standard we need." As they prepare to face Salford City in the FA Cup, City boast a refreshed swagger. De Bruyne played his second full 90 minutes in a row, suggesting his recovery is on track. Haaland, for his part, shows no sign of slowing. Meanwhile, Savinho's emergence could be the catalyst Guardiola needs to spark another dominant run. By the final whistle, the sense of relief was palpable, as if City had finally remembered how formidable they can be. Nerves at the Stadium of Light. Sunderland edged Portsmouth in a flurry of mistakes. When Portsmouth manager John Mazinho suggested Sunderland carried all the pressure, few expected a tense spectacle riddled with missed opportunities. From the moment Wilson Isidore slammed home his 7th-minute goal, the hosts seemed poised to dominate. Yet the more chances they created, the more anxious they looked. By the time Marlon Pack's sending off left Portsmouth with 10 men, Sunderland's once fluid approach had devolved into a jittery scramble to preserve a slender lead. As swirling rain and near-freezing temperatures battered the Stadium of Light, fans braced for a disjointed affair. The visiting side, desperate to climb away from the relegation zone, initially looked shell-shocked when they conceded so early. However, their defensive resilience gradually surfaced, especially through keeper Nicholas Schmid, who atoned for an early positional error by pulling off several sharp saves. Sunderland's 4-4-2 formation, introduced by little-known head coach Regis Lebris, yielded promising build-up play but a flurry of wayward finishing. Portsmouth's main threat, striker Colby Bishop, was anonymous for much of the match. And yet, a late flurry of possession, fueled by Sunderland's tentative passing, almost saw the visitors snatch a point. The moment that truly cost Portsmouth came in the 67th minute. Pack dawdled over a clearance, allowing Isidore to steal possession. In desperation, the Pompey captain dragged down the fast-accelerating forward, earning an immediate red card. Despite the numerical disadvantage, Portsmouth harried Sunderland to the very end, forcing local supporters into restless anticipation of the final whistle. For Sunderland, the win keeps alive a dream of returning to the Premier League, a journey few would have anticipated during Lebris's early days in charge. His rejuvenation project has quickly earned admirers, but the team's recurring nerves whenever they lead by a single goal remain a concern. They have already conceded late equalizers or winners multiple times this season, and that pattern nearly repeated itself here. In the end, an edgy 1-0 victory hints at both promise and danger. Sunderland remain in the thick of the promotion race, but they'll need to quell these bouts of hesitation if they hope to handle stronger opponents. For Portsmouth, the takeaway is bittersweet. They departed without a point, yet showed enough resilience to suggest that their bid to escape the bottom end of the table